everyone, my name is Sam Willis, and today we are joined by all this awesome old kit, and of course Mr. Sam Willis from Ecstatic Recordings and ONS. How you doing?
Yeah, good, how are you?
Very well, a bit hot, but we'll get through it. So today is all about all bits of kit, kind of older bargainy kit, maybe not famous, or not as famous as some of their contemporaries.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, why you would want to use this stuff, the kind of thing it can do. And like what makes it appealing.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, obviously it's not as might not be as convenient or as easy to use as Ableton Live or Machine or something like that, but it's got its charm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're talking about, starting with this Casio FZ1.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a sampler, right?
So this is a hybrid synth / sampler from 1987 made by Casio, who are not really known in the pro audio world compared to, say, the likes of EMU, Yamaha, and the like. But they came out with this in 1987. It was a very revolutionary piece of kit because it was 16-bit, which at the time was quite revolutionary, and it has 8 voices, which allows it to do polyphony. It's not just mono synth. And it has a really fantastic filter, as you can hear, which is analog but controlled digitally. So it's kind of a hybrid. So it has a very unique tone to it, where the sound is very rich and warm, but it also has a bit of a bite and an edge to it. Yeah. Aphex Twin is a big fan and used it on Selected Ambient Works Volume 2, which you can hear the sort of distorted, overdriven filter on that, which is a real mark of the machine.
Yeah. Shall we hear some other bits of sound
from
it then? Let's see what it sounds like.
So this is one I prepared earlier.
So it's kind of the what we were talking about earlier about the convenience.
Yes. Yeah. So this is something I sampled in earlier on, and you have to switch voices to get it up to play up on the keyboard. But you can hear there the sound of the crunchiness of the filter. The resonance all the way up, so it really sort of pushes the sound into sort of self-oscillation. And it has a 8-stage filter, so it allows you to really get in and change and morph the sound in like some really interesting ways, which you can change as a sort of graphical display. You can draw in your own waveforms.
Oh, right, cool.
It's really really quite a unique piece of kit. It takes a while to kind of get your head around the architecture. Much like a lot of these bits of kit, they all have their own idiosyncratic ways of working. So it requires a bit of investment of time, you know, in addition to that you already put into your DAW. But I think that what you end up getting is something that is very unique sounding through the range of sounds that you have in the mix, something that will help you to stand out when everyone's using the same sample patches and the same sort of presets on their massive sort of plugin or whatever. So,
yeah. And what kind of sounds is it best for?
So this works really well for sort of long, rich, evolving pad sounds, for kind of quite caustic, heavy drum sounds, where you can change the sample rate all the way down to 8 kilohertz, which is very low resolution. So you can get some really crunchy percussive sounds, and all the way up to 32 kilohertz. We can also try a few different modes to show off some of the other sounds it can do. Okay, here we go. So wave synth. Yamaha actually have the patent on the FM synthesis technology, so Casio had to come up with their own version of the same technology. So with this, if I just draw in a load of waveforms really quickly, we'll get something that sounds quite a lot like an FM synth patch.
Yes.
So then if we apply the filter, we can get something much more usable to that. Turn the resonance all the way up, cut off down. So almost like an organ kind of sound. So it's very good for kind of creating weird sort of alien sort of
Yeah, you can hear the filter sweeping up and down.
Yeah,
stepping.
and because of the inconsistencies, you can get some really nice kind of breaking up of a sort of signal, which just, it's all happening within the circuitry of the synth, so you just have this immediately interesting and sort of satisfying kind of sound coming out of it. Yeah, so I think in terms of how you would use it, adding in sort of weird evolving textures within your production is just fantastic for that, creating these sort of unique timbres which are all available in one box rather than just having a Prophet 6 which costs you thousands of pounds and has a very specific kind of vintage analog timbre. With this, you can get something that's utterly unique for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, and speaking of price, what are these bad boys going for? We were just looking on eBay just before we started filming.
Yes.
And I think we found that it's about 120.
Yeah, around about that mark.
140-ish,
depending
on the condition.
And also, they're extremely, you can't really tell at home, but it's an extremely heavy piece of kit.
Yeah.
They're really professionally made, so as a result, postage might end up costing almost half as much as the synth if the buyer is prepared to ship it. So you can try and find one locally. Don't leave yourself any nasty surprises and buy one from the other end of the country and then realise how much the courier is going to cost to ship it to you.
And obviously you can sample into it.
Yes, you can sample into it. That was a sample before that I was just playing you, which we sampled in earlier on. And you can chop it up to individual outputs, so you can trigger individual sounds on each of the keys via MIDI from your DAW to use within a sort of workstation environment. It doesn't have an internal sequencer, which is one of the drawbacks. And each voice has to be individually programmed with the filter settings and amplifier settings, that's a bit of a drag. So I find it tends to work best sampling something in, smashing it up, putting the filter on it, kind of distorting it out and playing around with the envelopes like we were before, and you just get some happy accidents that just sound really kind of raw and interesting, rather than it being something, at least with my level of synthesis ability, that I'd go in and create something like a bell sound or something like that. But other people, I'm sure, if they have a good understanding of synthesis, can really get a lot out of this. And you can get multi-samples of synths that go into the likes of Contact, which you can put into here and give that extra sort of weight and timbre that you get from the filters, say with a Mini-Moog sample spread across the whole keyboard and then sampled in and repitched and with the filter added to it, which will bring it more to life than perhaps you might get in a standard sort of sampler within the computer, which will still be fine and much more convenient. But if you spend the time and invest in creating your own library within the machine on the floppy disks and what have you, then you can really take more of a sense of ownership over the sounds that you're using within your production, in addition to having a range of other sort of synths and hardware and all the rest of it. So this is the hand drawing. You can get on along and individually change parameters on the screen to create your own weird, bizarre sounding pitch. Alien insect attack. So you can also do some really nice pad sounds as well, which gets away from the weird alien noises, which has like a really quite a kind of emotive, lush character to it, particularly if you add some reverb and delay.
I mean, there's no built-in effects. It's just straight out. Yeah.
No built-in effects, just a filter. But I think again, you really get what you pay for in that there's no frills, but what it does have, it does really, really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really quite a versatile piece of kit, and one of the things I think of all these machines is that none of them is a one-size-fits-all. That they have particular characteristics which really make them stand out, but also it really limits them within a certain range. So another great thing I would recommend with this synth is that it's a beautiful MIDI controller in terms of controlling your soft synth and other stuff within your DAW, in terms of the mod wheel, the pitch bend. it's a real asset rather than having just a sort of USB, plasticky USB keyboard.
Yeah.
You can really have something that you can feel like a proper musician when you're kind of putting your samples in or playing in your chords and melodies.
So there you go, that's the Casio FZ1. We'll be back soon to take a look at his younger brother, Lor's right over here. They go for about $140 on eBay, perfect for those sci-fi crazy effect sounds, if you want to check those out.